Recording. Hello, hello. This is a Voteholders Earth Nation meeting. Getting into some nitty-gritty details about some really big changes and shifts that have been happening over the last week or so. I'll just zoom into the general overall shifts, and then we'll open up a dialogue about it. So this revision to our payout structure just passed actually like a minute ago, so that's interesting timing. So let me just like verbally go over this for a second. So from the point of our ICO on, every key in circulation, meaning not held in an Earth Nation Reserve account, every single key will have a buy order on the open market. For those that don't know what a buy order is, the way the exchange markets work, you can place buy orders and sell orders. Buy orders mean you want to buy it. Sell orders mean you want to sell it. When you place a buy order, say we place buy orders at, like, I placed 100 of them at $1 each. That would mean if anyone ever made a sell order that was at $1 or less, it would just like literally instantaneously, we would just buy the key back. So does that make sense to everyone? Great. Because of that, I am moving to change our payout rates. And basically what I have proposed here is there's now 4 tiers of payout. Top tier is $4,000 a month. Second tier is $2,500. Then it's $1,500 and $900. And then that's at most half cash, half keys, and at least 1/4 keys credits. Are there any questions on this bill? And like why we had to do that, any details on how that's happening or anything in particular about this before we move on? Hi, Lotus. Oh, is my sound on? Do we have no questions? We're all good, we get it? Next one. Okay, here we go, on to the next one. So next one, the one that John actually specifically asked to call this meeting for, which is linked with the first one, and that is the key split. So right now, no ICO that we've been able to find, and we've kind of been researching every single one of them that's been successful, none of them are start selling their currency for more than $1 each. So in terms of general market practice, it seems like a great idea for us to drop it to $1. So what we want to do is give people 4 times the amount of keys that they previously had, so you keep the same value of keys. But then there's this other thing coming in. Basically, if we do that, we're going to have about 400,000 keys in circulation, which means that our average buy order is going to be pennies to start with. And that when new people buy keys, we'll use some of those buy orders to prop up the value of those initial keys. But based on my projections, if we put that many keys into circulation, we will need to sell many, many millions of dollars worth of keys until keys actually have the kind of value we want them to have. And at the very start of this, we told everyone that you're not going to be able to just cash in all your keys right away. So that's why I'm proposing for people that earned keys to receive half keys credits and half keys initially right after the ICO. And then at a later point further on, when more of our businesses are regeneratively thriving and we actually have other sources of income other than key sales that are really powerful, what we can do is at that point, start turning percentages of keys credits, like say 20% of all the keys credits you hold become keys. And we do that in waves until we don't need keys credits anymore. But in the meantime, so like for right now, if you try to sell a key, we don't actually have buy orders for keys on the market. So we have this level of control on top of it where, like, say for instance, some people have actually tried to come and sell all their keys to us. And if I had allowed it, we would have absolutely $0 right now. Instead, I followed our policy and I told people they could only sell 10% of their keys, and I let them sell 10% and I gave them their money. When we go on the market, now all of a sudden any of us have the power to just sell all of our keys. And for anyone who's been working on our core team, that actually gives any of our core team members the ability to crash our currency. if we give people full keys right away, right after ICO. So that is why I'm introducing the idea of keys credits. And we're saying after the ICO, you're allowed to sell up to 50%, but we're just limiting any individual's ability to crash our system until we're stronger. And that's why I made these proposals.
Perfect. Thank you so much for those details. Those are things that I was not aware of. So the most important thing that brought up my questions and concerns were, I represent not only the community, right, but I also represent the investor part, because I'm an investor and I'm a community member, right? So I've earned a lot of keys and I bought a lot of keys. And I have a personal friend, an investor that came in and purchased keys on my recommendation. So on the investor part, okay, before the ICO, because I know after the ICO it's going to be different, but before the ICO, the issue that I had for the investor side is that converting the keys, half of them, to keys credits now forces them to, have to, spend them inside the directory. And our directory
doesn't affect investors.
But so I'm an investor and a community member. So how does that affect the ones that I purchased? Okay, I don't understand. So the ones that I've earned, you're saying, is going to convert?
Yes.
Half keys credits.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, that makes me feel a lot better. That eliminates a lot of my concerns.
And I noticed I actually didn't make that super fucking clear here, so I'll do that right now.
Yeah. Okay. So still we're so for the investor, like my investor Brett, he invested $5,000. He got 5,000 keys. He now has
20,000 keys.
20,000 keys. And so what we're going to do is revert back to $1 per key, and then you're going to times his keys by 4.
That's right. And the reason that's easier is because we actually got money from him. So we have money to back the buy orders, whereas the people that did work for us,
got it. Okay, I got it.
The agencies have actually converted that time into money just yet. We will, but it's a process because it's a startup.
I totally agree. And I'm all for that, for the community keys that I have earned. Yes. Okay, thanks for clarifying that. That's just something that wasn't spelled out that I could figure out on my own.
Yeah, I actually didn't add that detail. So thank you so much, John, for bringing some clarity to me.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, my whole focus is stacking keys anyway. I'm not trying to spend any keys because I know the future is very bright. I mean, if you guys were on my meeting yesterday, it's funny how the world is catching up to the Earth Nation. Literally, we have been driving this ship for a while, and everyone is starting to talk about exactly what we're doing. We're going to be looked at as the leaders, guys. I'm telling you. So just put that, in the back of your mind, and just know that we are right in the right place for sure.
Excellent. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share or comment on or talk about with these two particular proposals? Cool. The other one I want to get into, because it's actually bigger than the first two. Just want to make sure we have some really strong clarity on this. So this budget, this proposal came from a place of us being seemingly close to receiving between $750,000 and $10 million worth of gold. All these things are still in processing. And just so that you guys know, this kind of money doesn't move quickly. And just because someone with this much money said that they want to give it to us doesn't mean we will actually get it. There's all kinds of little factors. So don't get all hedged up on it like, oh my God, we're going to get this. But it's a really good sign. It is a really flipping good sign. And basically, when that money actually hits our account, the Earth Nation is going to change. Pretty much all of us, we're in this because we love it. We're in this for our hearts. I don't think a single person here is in it for the money. But when we have money, there will be people who join us for it. And they will try to do pretty much anything they can. They'll be sweet, they'll be kind, they'll be mean, they'll be manipulative, they'll be aggressive. Like they'll do all the things that humans do to try to get money when we have a lot of it. And that's why the core team members here at the HQ have decided to implement basically 2 new policies. And we all get to decide on, to support or deny this. I'm glad that we seem to have a lot of support for it. But the first level of kind of security we're adding is the Council of Center Coordinators. We're basically deciding on a general budget for the next $200 million. And then if someone wants to make an expense outside of that budget, they have to get a 70% approval from the Council of Center Coordinators. So this is to prevent, say tomorrow, 100 people join the Voteholders. It's an investment club. They all buy in, right? They put like $800K into our system, and then they own it. And then they just be like, okay, now we're gonna take our $800K we just put in plus all the money you have, and we're gonna vote it into a yacht resort. Right now, until this bill passes, they would be able to do that, and we would lawfully, within our own structures, we would have to be like, okay, fine, all right, we're doing that now. So that's why I made this bill. So basically, if any group comes in and they're like, they want to start spending money that's totally outside of what we're all here to do together, they just literally won't be able to do that. It's still a DAO because the vote holders will basically, with this proposal, I've established generally what we're doing, but the vote holders get to decide how we do it and who does it and how much we pay for it. That's where it's still DAO territory. I also put a big part of the budget into very loose categories, for instance, cooperative business or humanitarian causes. Those are really obviously vast areas that we can all really put our minds together and be like, all right, what where do we really want to support in the full spectrum of all that? And if we decide we're like, oh, we actually want to drop a whole $1 million into a yacht club as a regenerative business, we can do that if we're at that stage in the budget. So before I go on, does that make total sense to everyone?
Yeah, that's a really, really good idea. Thank you for thinking way ahead and looking for the big picture, because we don't, the core members right now, just like you said, we're all focused not on the money. We're focused on, living together in harmony and building paradise for everyone. And you're right. When people come into the collective, learning about, our millions and billions of dollars and assets and gold and all that stuff, you're totally right. The manipulation can happen. And if they understand how the system works, they can totally take advantage of it. So what you're proposing, I don't know all the details yet, but it sounds like you figured out a way to at least make it so our center coordinators or this core team of vote holders right now still have to have the majority of that vote that those people are trying to push to make it happen. So I like where you're headed with this. I haven't seen all the details, but I really like that you're at least thinking about it, because
I think about it every day, John. I'm like, what is every single way this could possibly go wrong, and how do we plug these goals?
Good job.
Anyone else like to comment, or Corey, into this particular section? Do we feel like we have a general consensus? We get a little naughty thing going on? Yeah, or no?
Brilliant. That's all I wanted to say.
I just want to bring up one thing real quick, Dakota. I noticed today that I might not be a vote holder as well. So I was wondering if we could check into why I've lost my status.
You're not a vote holder, Doug?
According to Leela, I may not have accomplished the academies and the tests, which I have done.
Oh.
Yes, he has. This is Sandra.
Yeah, I was locked out this morning, so it's not a big deal. We'll get it figured out.
Oh, Lumio does that sometimes. It's weird, and then I have to re-add people.
In the home center, it says vote holders, and I couldn't. It said locked out on that tab.
Oh, that's just under development, Doug. That's all.
Okay.
That's a website thing.
Into vote holders. Actually, I see you're in vote holders right now, Doug. You're a vote holder. You're a subscriber. As long as you keep subscribing, you're a vote holder for life.
Right on.
That will never change. We might change it in the future, so new people coming in will have a different requirement. But as long as you, just like Cassiopeia is actually locked in for life too. She got in when it was just like a K. That was nice. I actually think a handful of here, like Z Lotus, she's locked in for life. John, you're locked in for life. Prism, I think you're locked in for life at this point. What's
Deborah
up?
wants to say something.
Yeah, we're having a lot of technical difficulties right now, Greg. So, or Doug. So sorry about that. But we're working through them.
Yeah, I like to call them difficulties. I just have like 7 developers working on the same stack, and it's super crazy. I know you guys don't know much about development, but that's like a crazy feat we're doing over there. But yeah, you could call it those technical difficulties if I like it. Deborah?
Yes, Dakota, you asked me to change my name on Lumio, and I tried to, and all it does is keep loading and loading and loading, and it never really changes my name. So if I can get help with that, I would appreciate it.
Okay. Sure, absolutely. I'll do some troubleshooting with you after this, Deborah. Cool.
Yeah, I like that idea of us being kind of grandfathered in with the lower vote holder requirements right now, because I can definitely see them changing in the future. Because once we have the assets and the money or the gold or whatever we're talking about, it seems like it's going to be way too easy to become a vote holder for those people that are trying to manipulate and take advantage. So I'm sure it'll get more stringent as we go along here. And it's just cool to, everybody, pay attention that they're not vote holders right now, or that want to be vote holders, get on top of it. I mean, I guess everyone here right now is a vote holder, but your friends and family that want to be, get them in now, to grandfather them in, I would think, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Because we want to get as big of a core group of people that have the same mindset as us before that big group of, non like-minded individuals come in for the money. I'm starting to brainstorm now on that defense mode thing. Wow.
Love mode.
Love mode. Cool.
Yeah, so many layers of this going on. We're going to attract a ton of people who really believe in it too. I don't think we're going to get a huge percentage of people that care about the money, but they'll start being a bigger percentage. And yeah, that's where our culture comes in, you guys. Like, that's the biggest part of this movement, is we're gonna bring in these people that are like from this old world and these old ways of behavioral patterns, and we're gonna teach all of them how to like be in a new way of being. It's such a beautiful thing. I think I saw you wanted to speak for a second, Cassiopeia.
Yeah, so I had wondered, when do keys credits become a thing? Because we passed a measure a month ago that all vote holders would be issued like 100 keys credits, and then freelancers a certain amount. But I don't know when we're actually giving those out, or like, is that going to happen when the Amazon store opens? Amazon S store?
It's going to happen before beta. It's just like, it's like a tier 2 objective on our tech stack right now.
Okay.
It literally just hasn't been coded in just yet, but before beta in 22 days, they should be live.
And then are those transferable as well? Like, could we give those to people?
Yes, I'm going to add a section for vote holders to transfer them. I'm going to make it so if you're not a vote holder, you can't transfer them, to stop people from like making 100 accounts and getting like 10 keys credits on each one and then putting them all together into one account. But yes, in the vote holders section will be an area to transfer keys credits and give them out to people that we love. And it's so much easier for us to give out keys credits than keys.
Right. Okay, cool.
I transferred a key to Deborah this morning just to send it over to her Yahoo 2012. If you could verify, it'll go through.
Right now we have an escrow up for the freelancer site. So it'll take her up to 10 days to see it. If for anyone that wants to send a payment and have it be seen now, you can go to your freelancer center, to the financial center, and then you can either turn your escrow time down from like 10 to 0, or you can send a payment, or you can just wait. I'll have the escrow time set to 0 automatically on the home center in the next few days, but just right now for the tech stack, that's how the send function is working.
Perfect.
This is causing a lot of confusion and problems, Dakota. Can we just disable the escrow for now? And if someone's working in the Freelance Academy, then they can change that?
Let me see if I can do that right now. Yeah.
will that stop the key that I transferred because it did minus from my keys? So let's make sure that goes through or comes back.
It never gets lost. Let's see.
It was only kind of a test run, just playing with it, you know, making sure everything's working for you.
Oh, it actually got changed to a 1-day on hold by default. Yeah, can someone try sending a key now? See if it shows up there instantaneously.
Yeah, I can do that. I think I have Home Center open.
Let's do it. I think I just turned it off. Cool. All right, moving on to the next bit, and that is the actual literal budget. And I just want to loosely cover this with people. It is still open to some changes, which is part of why I gave this particular vote a 14-day window. And rather than talk about this too much on here, if anyone really wants to get into it, I recommend doing a lot of math with me, or like on your own, and then bringing your math back to me if you think that some of these calculations are out of alignment. But I didn't just make this up. I did like many days of lots of thinking and math and calculations and stuff. So this is just phase 0, what's already been done. It's a $100,000 budget. Phase 1, so that's where we are now until the ICO. Ideal budget for us is $1 million. So 500K, so half of all of our money, like no matter what, always goes back to the EN reserve based on our current regulations. So out of $1 million, I'm suggesting 90K into technology development, which is like the backbone. 70K is just going to go into sales commission. 25K for the media, 15K for the education, 30K to get people sponsored into the financial program, 60K for all the ICO marketing work, 50K for us to get a seat at the board of this $11 million estate out here, which I think is totally worth it. 50K so we can put 25 people on basic income at $500 a month for 4 months. 10K for transportation, 50K so we can get some out of country, really, really tight, like bank shells so we can hold our money without PayPal freezing it. We can actually do USD payment disbursements. 15K at the end for us to like put into whatever cooperative businesses we want. 10K into humanitarian with 25K into flex. Is there any question on any one thing in particular on what we're going to be spending this money on? Does anyone want clarity, or does this like totally make sense? Deborah?
Give me your email, Dakota. I'll send it to you. Sorry.
I'll put it in the chat, Doug.
Yep.
Deborah, yes.
What is flex?
It just means our extra room at the end of the day if we go over budget in any department, or if there's something we want to spend on that isn't inside of the budget. Any other questions? Make sense?
I don't see it in the chat, Dakota.
It's in the Zoom group chat. Let's pull it up in Zoom.
Yeah. Maybe people talk after you or something. I don't see it. Not here. In a moment.
Okay. So next one is a 9-month plan for 20 million. And the end point of this would be to develop this whole system we have to 1,000 vault holders with that money. Again, 10 million goes right into the EN, 5 million goes to tech development, that's 25%. And then the rest is distributed out from that. And I actually go into a little more detail here on what exactly these things will be for. And it's all relatively self-explanatory.
Dakota,
Yo.
is there a way that we can modify this to use also percentages? Because it feels like we're assuming that we're going to have that amount of money, and what happens if we don't reach that? So if there are also percentages of what we bring in, it might be a little bit easier to read, because people might take that for whatever sector literally, but we may not actually have the 20 million to disperse in that manner.
Totally. I can add the percentages to it, and in my head that's how I was Leela has the percentage in pie charts, so great. And that in the center plan. And that, so my thoughts are like, so we're going for 20 mil, but if we get 10 mil, then we just like have the amount of money each thing gets. We get 1 mil, we cut everything by 20, we divide it by 20. So yeah, that's the plan. If we don't get our target goal, we'll just modify it. Also, if we don't hit our target goal, it'll probably all take longer time too, which will change our equations. Like for instance, for the basic income, like we might end up moving money. Like if for our pre-ICO we get less than this, there'll be some moving around that happens depending on the amount of money we get, but it'll either mostly just be a percentage, but there'll be some stuff we move around, and we'll talk about that as a group if and when it happens. What's up, John?
Hey, so what if we get 20 billion? That's what I'm working on right now, guys. I got an amazing update last night. I just want to share this with you and just to give you a little bit of update of what's going on behind the scenes, because it seems like it's really starting to happen here. So if you're following anything in the media, not the mainstream media, but the social network media, the cabal individuals are secretly and discreetly being arrested and put on alert. But basically tomorrow, the banks are going to be open for business with this revaluation of the currency for the dinar, the Iraqi dinars. And so basically I'm in a pool of brokers that have the direct contact to the groups that are getting the exchanges done. And that should be happening, I think, next week. And then it says right here, some of our SKR holders, this is our clients, are now receiving information about being made liquid and to have their accounts funded and live just before Thanksgiving. So a couple weeks ago, I had shared with you that information about the group that's going to be looking for our type of Earth Nation projects to be funded, because they're going to have all this influx of money, and they're forced, or their whole goal is to put it into humanitarian projects, and we are the exact blueprint that they want to fund. So I want to respond to these people, and I need your help. I need to understand the best way to respond, to represent the Earth Nation with our plan. I just want to get an opening email to them as soon as possible, right before this happens, so that we're on their radar. I'm obviously connected to my own little group, and if everything goes as planned, they're going to fund our thing as well. But wouldn't it be great to get funded by a bunch of these groups? I mean, unbelievable. Because we're going to be, like I said, we're going to be looked at as the leaders. They're looking for people like us that have the blueprints and the plans and have already kind of put it into play. So I really want to spend a little bit of time in preparing an email. So if someone could help me with that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. I'd like to overview that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put my finishing touches on it. I think Tiana wants to help. Is that what the hand raise was?
Beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, exciting time. So John, the way our system works, so past this budget, the first 200 million will be specifically allocated, but after that it opens up again. And what I see happening in my blueprints is we just start funding other fractals. That's past 200 million is where we really become this regenerative funding mechanism for the rest of the new paradigm.
Yeah.
At that point, I would reach out to the other 100+ groups that we've identified with that are in our ally network that are all like trying to do the same thing. And we'd be like, look, we got funding for you. Now you just have to like fit into our system and start your own little fractal pod and apply for funding. And then they'd start doing the same things, like the really successful versions of that. Then we give them a bunch of money like regularly just to redistribute to more groups. And then we just like refractalize all of the money on the planet that way. That's
for sure. Yeah.
Glad you're with us, John, our abundance wizard. Did Teo send that wire transfer yesterday, or do I need to get on a little bit about that?
I checked yesterday. I'll check this morning. If
it's not there, let me know and be like,
Yeah, it should be there.
Okay.
So I'm using your full name at Gmail, right, Dakota?
Yes.
All right, sending now. Just wanted to verify.
And then I just want to cover this too. So that our 1 to 4 year plan with a $200 million budget is to get 100 interconnected instances of groups like the Earth Nation going with between 5 to 500 members each, with a total of 2 million people playing in this new way of being. That's really like that. This is like close to our end game here. And in this one, it's very similar to the rest, except a little bit less money to tech. They get less of a percentage here. And this is the point of our funding where we actually start to get more money into regenerative businesses, humanitarian help, and we start launching a lot of heart corridors at this point as well, really shaping everything out to be freaking epic. Anyone who wants to make a revision, you can just add that into the discussion chat room. That I would love to like talk about this more in discussion if people are interested in the actual fine numbers. Just really ask if you do want to make a suggestion, like run a bunch of math with it. Don't just be like, oh, I think we should spend something over here. Like really do your due diligence. But I'm very open to other people upgrading this baseline. And just remember, it's not set in stone. We can always change it in the future. It's just a little more structure where we otherwise didn't have any structure.
I have a quick question. Now I came in a little bit late. I apologize. But is this like a 3-stage, or are we voting on which one? I'm a little unclear.
Sorry, Doug. There's a conversation happening in the room, and I can't hear you.
Okay, I'm just asking if this is a 3-stage budget proposing to be out in longevity, or if this is 3 things that we'll choose. Because I'll look it over, but I wanted to know if it's 3 different options for now, or if it's a perspective in the future.
It's a 3-phase plan going from $1 million to $200 million in 3 months to 4 years.
Okay, then I'm caught up. Thank you.
Cool. Our ambassador program just got a little bit easier, a little bit simpler. And in about 3 days, we're going to have our own custom API integration. So it's just literally as simple as clicking a button on our site and it'll auto authenticate and make you an ambassador. When that happens, I'm like really excited to get people engaged in that for a couple of reasons. The first is now that it all links to Steam, we're making money on every posting. Second is we want to get our energy going like bigger again before the ICO. Before we even launch the ICO, that we should be getting tons of hits and followers. So we really pump that and make a lot more money. And then third, it's the easiest way to become a vault holder again. And we want more vault holders. And Jared, it's a super easy way for you to be a vault holder. For anyone else, it's just anytime I have an opportunity, I want to pump that a little more. I think it's a real serious like frontline engagement point that I would love to see more people playing in. And that's about it. I think those are the important votes. Things I wanted to talk about. I could just open it up now for whoever else wants to discuss something that's relevant to all of the rest of us.
Just checked the bank, got the wire this morning. So, all right. So we're starting on the first 6 credit repair files. I'll connect with each and every one of you, make sure I have all your documents. And I'll just need a login to privacyguard.com. Just a trial membership so that we can get the initial accounts that are going to be going on the dispute letter. So I'll email each one of you that's on the list. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Question to John. Am I on that list?
I'll go over it and reach out to each and every one of you. Okay. I got you.
All right. Cool. We all get it. We all love it. We all love each other. We're all happy. We're all excited. Beta launch in 22 days. Yeah.
Hey, John. Dakota. Something I was thinking, because it's relevant. I think all the vote holders should have a description on how they are vote holders, just so there's less of who's a vote holder, who's not a vote holder type of thing. Like when they joined, what they interacted with. This would.
That's actually a job of whoever is adding them as a coordinator. Is we have in our vault holder list, we have their roles. So that's already part of the system. Yes, I noticed that some of new people in there, it hasn't been noted. So that's something. If anyone adds someone to the vault holder, please like list like what role they're following in. But that's part of the system. Yes.
I was more referring to like the grandfathered in thing. So if a vote holder continues to be a vote holder for like previous conditions, then let that be indicated too, if it's possible.
Yeah. Because right now that information is just mostly in my head and in other people's heads. So you totally need to put that on paper. Yes, absolutely. Totally, Jerry. I'll add that. Thank you. Great suggestion. There's been a lot of talk on decentralized autonomous organizational protocols. And I just wanted, while we're all here, to open up a little space for that. We're also going to have another talk later with Daniela and Dora, and there's kind of two of the people that are really pioneering that they feel like that this isn't enough of a DAO. And if we feel like we have like space and time, I just wanted to talk for maybe 5 or 10 minutes about like what I see that we are, like how we are a DAO, and like where the domain of the DAO begins and ends, and like how it is actually decentralized and how in some parts it is centralized. I don't want to waste anyone's time though, but do we all like want to spend about 5-10 minutes on this bit? Okay. So first, this whole DAO, it's only designed to govern one thing. That, like when I say this whole DAO, I mean specifically the Earth Nation, or technically the name of the decision-making body is the Keys Collective. But yeah, so like we're all of us vote holders. Like there's one thing that is within our jurisdiction, and that is our money. Period. Like we don't own the lands, right? Though this whole system isn't designed to even own property. Like we work with landowners, but our one domain of jurisdiction is all of our money, all of our keys, all of our cash, every liquidatable asset we have. So that's really where we come in to vote together on where that goes. And there's like, just kind of throw this out on the table. So just repeating it all. First, they get your first vote in, and that's where all of the vote holders either agree or deny someone's ability to access our funds. But once they've been approved by the vote holders, there's another body of power that helps balance our DAO, and that's the center coordinators. And center coordinators have the ability to deny specific reimbursements based on a universal standard. And this universal standard process isn't something that I have gone into a lot of detail with many people. I have shared some videos on how I do my DAO sacred economics and how I like make my value sheets and stuff. I am happy and willing to educate more people on it, but it is a very math-based, relatively complex process where basically the job of the center coordinators is just to make sure our money is being used wisely, right? It's like if someone wants to go and like buy a material for like a project, we look at that material. We look at like where it's sourced from. We look at the cost. We look at ratings on it. Like let's say for instance, like one of the first saunas Leela looked at was $3,000, right? So we got a budget. We got approved for $7,000 for the headquarters. And we decided as the headquarters group that we wanted a sauna. But instead of buying a $3,000 sauna, we did our research and we bought a $1,200 or like a $1,500 sauna with the best reviews. And that's the job of the center coordinators, is for every individual group, we just kind of help them make the best choices with their money. And if the center coordinators think that an individual reimbursement is a bad idea, they have the ability to block it or suggest a new reimbursement. And then I kind of mentioned it in that example, but like, so first the HQ budget is given to the HQ, and as part of the budget, it's supposed to be established who is the HQ. And we haven't been going into great detail on that on our proposals. That's been one of the things that is more or less unsaid. And in the future, that's going to be something when we actually have a template for proposals that we're going to include, is like who exactly is the decision-making body for this little subdivided budget. And in our HQ, that's everyone here on the ground. So we have 11 people and we're making unanimous decisions with that funding. But these 11 people also need to check in with the Council of Center Coordinators. And that's the whole process. And basically where it comes into our DAO territory is like where is like basically our money. It's just like we control how much money people get and what they're and that's it. That's what the DAO really decides. It doesn't decide how we necessarily do things. It doesn't decide how I brush my teeth or how I speak on the internet, other than everyone is also bound by that kind and courteous guideline. So it's really simple, but for some reason, it seems like a lot of us aren't getting it. And I don't know how to help us facilitate that part of it. So I'm open to dialogue, conversations, reframing, whatever it takes so every vote holder can really feel like we got it. Because I'm noticing that some vote holders are very strongly stating they feel like I'm controlling everything. And I'm just like, I don't know how to help them. So I'm asking you guys to help me help them understand that it really is a DAO, but the DAO has certain domains and responsibilities and structure, and it's not just a free-for-all. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I noticed one thing that you've been trying to do is not have people list you as their, what is it called? The backup to the votes. Because the more people that list you, you get more voting power as it goes along. So as much as you guys love Dakota and want him to be your backup to the vote, it's just giving him, it's just increasing that I don't know, the percentage that he has in voting power. So, and Dakota's already told us he's been trying to put out, different proposals to limit that. But the people that are coming in, all the new people, are still listing him as their backup. And it's just countering what he's trying to do. So,
ideally, John, I want to hold enough votes to be able to easily do at least a 20% or a veto. So if something crazy is going through, I could just be block, and then it needs to go through at least several rounds so people can sneak something in.
Yeah.
But that would make me happy if I held between 20 or 10% of all the votes at max at this stage. That would be ideal for me. Yeah. Any other dialogue, questions, comments, queries, voting, budget, anything? We're coming to a close. To Valentin.
Yeah. For my available time currently, I feel that I am lacking the tasks to complete, that I have a lot of more available time that I can spend in Earth Nation activities. I also wrote a blog post, I don't know if you read it, about what are my points in regards to working in collective and so on. I posted it on the One Keys Coordinators Slack channel. So I would like you to read it, to understand me better. And I also realized how I had resistance to writing generally, because I defined myself as graphic designer, so the creator of visual content, and have deliberately avoided participating in writing texts. However, I have realized that specifically the visual creation, the design, is something that I struggle the most, and that writing is something that is not so challenging for me. So I can assist in writing of any content that is desired. But generally, the best way that I function is to be delegated certain tasks that are delegated very specific, so that I do not have any questions. This enables me to work without stopping my work because of not being sure what is expected for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you can use me with much more efficiency if you assign me more specific tasks.
Thank you, Valentin. Thank you for that clarity. I think you're speaking for quite a few of us when you say that. So yes, here's some more clarity coming from our coordinators and broadcasting out to the rest of us. Thanks for being here, Valentin. I really appreciate your meticulousness. I really love that quality. It's one of my favorites. I'm gonna send you a document, Valentine, with some suggestions, and if any of these things seem like, yeah, you want to pick them up, I'll send you some really detailed instructions. And I think it'd be good for you, me, and Lotus, and maybe Tuva or one other to like start having some regular coordinator meetings. I also would like for the all of the center coordinators to be meeting once a week again. And I realized that one other part we could help decentralize is that I have been making a lot of our core and critical objectives, and then we're all generally agreeing on it. But it'd be really nice if us coordinators could gather, and then we could kind of compare what we think the core and critical objectives are, and then we could all like officially approve it. And then we could release like official statements from the whole core of like the whole council of coordinators that these are our objectives, and then it won't be coming from just me. And I think that will help people feel like it is really truly decentralized too. So here's to that. Prism.
Valentine and all the coordinators, one big initiative that I'm working on right now is simplifying all the processes that we have in place by creating manuals for each and every position in Earth Nation. So that when somebody steps into the role, they can just follow the instructions on this manual on a day-to-day basis to execute their job, and they know exactly what they need to do to be successful. And so right now I'm working on creating a manual on creating manuals, and I'm going to be asking all the coordinators who have people working underneath them to create a manual for themselves and for the people on your team, so that we can just have extreme clarity for when we start onboarding a lot more people after the beta launch.
Blam. All right, so yeah, just feeling like, can we walk away from this with another meeting scheduled for tomorrow, 11 at the same time, 11? Maybe get a little more into the coordinating and a little more DAO decision making going on, and maybe some manuals and some more objectives and group dialogue. Does anyone like to attend a meeting tomorrow at the same time? Cool.
Dakota, 11 is not a good time for me because at that time we have usually meetings with Destiny Group. So any hour before that time or after that would be best for me.
Okay. Could we maybe let's do 10:20? Because yeah, that kind of time of day is pretty tight for us too. But we could do 10:20, and you could be on for at least 40 minutes of it before the Destiny Group call. Does that work for everyone? Can we do 40 minutes earlier than today? Yeah.
I can't do that. I could only do 12 p.m. I can't do earlier.
Oh, really?
But that's okay. Yeah.
Well, you're super important, Lotus. I think we could do 12 actually. Can you do 12, Valentine?
Yes, sure.
12 works for everyone? All right, tomorrow at 12.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all so much. So
I think Jerry had raised his hand.
Go for it, Jerry.
Well, thank you for calling me out, Deborah. And if it's relevant, one of the things we discussed previously in Earth Nation was regenerative systems. So I'm wondering which regenerative systems are in focus right now.
Steam.
Just Steam, right? Is that the
Steam and the ambassadors are like the major regenerative engine we have that's actually running and producing income right now. The rest of this stuff is still in development, other than key sales, product sales.
Also, and then a shout out for #1 in Steam.
Yeah, we've hit #1 5 times now, I think. 4 or 5 times, I don't remember. But getting it. Yeah. All right, loved ones. Thank you so much for your time today. I will upload this. We're going to make it a featured video. And heavens yes, see you all tomorrow at 12. As always, let's close out with an OM out. And this OM, here's to being more of a DAO. I'm really decentralizing this process. Breathing all the way out. Breathing in.
Nice.
Oh, we gotta hit a good frequency on that one. That was me and Kukui right there. That was cool. Nice. Back up on them. We hit a frequency where it actually resonated with the computer too. That was dope.
That was nice.
Ciao.